Welcome back to Masters the Nerdiverse podcast, where we always have such sights to show you. It's a random select night. It's a fight night. It's the last two combatants of round one for the 2026 random select. I'm, of course, your host, Mike G. And back with me, as always, is there's the man who has the glow. We simply call him Wash. What's going on, sir?
What is up? We are back, and you are correct. It is fight night. It is the last of the fight night. There was a tad bit of sadness in the heart this weekend as I was wrapping them up, because it's like, man, now we know. Now we'll know, and then it's just on to the finals after that. A couple of more bloody death matches, and we will have a champion of this thing. So I am super excited to be here. Films that I remembered fondly, I think, question mark.
Same here. Like two films I remember. One I remember fondly, one I remember. But does that mean the one I remember fondly is the victor? I guess we'll have to fix. I guess we'll get there by the end of this episode. So this is Random Select. This is our annual tournament of champions where we randomly pick 8 films from whatever genre we pick. This year, we chose 80s action movies versus 90s action movies. Wash created the ultimate way to do this by selecting over 600 movies and running it through a random number generator. And that's how we came across our Hateful Eight that we pit against each other randomly and to see who is the champion of Random Select, which is the ultimate action film. Wash, are you excited about the end of all things, about this end of round one, big bro? Are you ready to lock into it?
I am. I'm just looking at this Last Dragon poster, and I'm
Yes.
thinking how dope that would have been on my wall in like 1989. Had
Hell
I
yeah.
had that in my wall, man, that thing is epic. So, yes, I am. I am excited to do this, and I'm not taking away from the Rock poster. I actually remember that one from being, a teenage
In a
man. So,
blockbuster
yes,
somewhere,
uh,
right?
right. So, I've seen that one. That one's burned in the brain. So. That last dragon poster though, that's pretty dope right there. How it looks with the shining and the diamonds and shine like a diamond, shine like
Shine
a
bright
diamond.
like a diamond.
Oh,
You
that's
know what it
very dope.
reminds me of? Who's that legendary poster artist? Struessman or something like that. He did all the
Yeah,
Star Wars,
yeah,
The Thing, Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's giving me that kind of vibes. Like,
yeah.
you know,
It's an iconic type of poster, I think. Absolutely. I think more people will probably remember that poster than they do the movie if you show it to them from the 80s. They'll be like, oh, yeah, I remember that. That's dope.
we got to do like top 10 movie posters, man, because there's some bangers out there. Like,
Ooh.
remember seeing like the Batman poster for the very first time?
Look,
Like,
I
your mind was just like, they're making a what? you know?
just based off this random select, I think that there should be a college advertising course about how movies were marketed in the 80s and 90s as compared to today. Because what you see on the cover is not necessarily what the movie's giving you. And if you want further elaboration on that, folks, go watch our first 6 episodes. All six of them fit that bill. So here we have two films that are they're close to what they are. You know what I mean? They are nothing crazy. Like, yeah, beyond the Call of Duty, and it's like, whoa.
Yeah, Beyond Call of Duty was definitely took a hard left turn in that movie, man.
Am I having fun?
No, but you're
The
enjoying
cover
yourself.
said fun.
The cover said fun, but guess what? No fun.
Yeah,
Once you see
yeah,
somebody get torched in real time, that it stops being fun.
yeah.
Freaking to call Beyond the Call of Duty. That won, by the way, didn't that?
Yes, it did. Yes, it
Isn't that?
did.
Didn't that go into the next round? Oh
Yes,
wow.
that is when you finally clicked over and you were like, "Man, I can't believe it. All right, I guess
Uh,
these are legitimate movies. I thought they were fake, but no, they're real. How about the?"
how about that? So I always like to kind of go over the rules of this because they are a bit uh they're very important to how you kind of follow this episode, this review slash battle. So there's only two of us, me and Wash here. So, what happens if there is a split? So, if I choose The Rock and Wash chooses Last Dragon, what we decided is that we're going to rank these movies from 0.0 out of 10. And depending on that rank, depending on who has the higher score, before this entire episode, we all have our numbers in our heads, in our phones, in our diaries. Whoever has the highest score between the two is the going to be the winner. And that's going to be the one that we want to the next round if we split, depending on if what he likes at the end of the day, what I like at the end of the day. Did I explain that succinctly, my man Wash?
I do believe so. You wrapped up the rules very well.
Perfect. Before we get into the actual battle, Wash called it earlier. I would love for you to elaborate. What is your history with these two films? Yeah.
I mean, well, The Rock, obviously, 1996. That's right about the time I was 16, 17 years old. I probably watched this movie at least 500 times, but I
Wow.
have not seen it in 2 decades. It's one of those that was always on in the background, be it the beers flowing or whatever the case may be. So, The Rock, long history. The Last Dragon, I also remember as a younger man watching that, but have only seen it once or twice up until this moment recently. So that was a nice look back. And in fact, I was kind of fooled because it wasn't the movie I thought it was. I thought it was one of Jim Kelly's old martial arts movies, and I thought that's what I
Oh.
was getting. And I was like, no, this is not the Jim Kelly that I am familiar with. But I do know this movie and did watch with my uncle, so shout out. I mean, 80s.
80s, we take those.
What
That's
was it?
funny.
1980, 80, 85, 85,
86, 85, 85.
86,
Yeah, you're right. You're right. 85. It's
85.
85. Ah, man, it's funny. My experience with these films is very flipped. So, growing up, I forgot how much I watched The Last Dragon as a kid. It kind of was like this part of my brain that got like bottomized out. Like I didn't realize like, oh, this was in rotation as much as my top three, like RoboCop, you know, Spaceballs and Masters of the Universe. Right? I forgot. Like, how could I forget? You know what I mean? So this was on all the time, just on the background. Like The Wiz is another one of those where
Yeah.
it's just on in the house, right? Always like to talk about the movies that your parents watched that influenced you because they just watch them over and over, right? You know what I mean? So I would always watch this in the background of things, hear the music, but we'll talk about that more. When it comes to The Rock, uh, it's one of those where I only recently kind of seen this movie for the first time,
Ooh,
maybe like the last 5 years. I want to say I
that's
just
interesting. A late entry into the Michael Bay verse. You know what I mean? And this is one of those first ones, so that's interesting.
yeah, because I'm familiar with Michael Bay, right? I've seen Bad
Yeah.
Boys, Transformers. You know what I'm saying? But I never saw this because this was before I realized what a Michael Bay movie was. You know what I mean? You see Bad Boys, and you don't think, "Oh, this is a Michael Bay banger," but yes, it's Turbo Michael Bay. And then Con Air movies. These epic action films. And The Rock is like like you said, one of his earliest ones. So it just was never on my radar until way later in life. I was like, you know what? It's the weekend. I've been on this espionage kind of spy movie niche lately. And I went and watched The Rock maybe like a year ago when I first got into this new fad of mine. And I'll talk about it more. But yeah, I have very little attachment to this movie because
Ah.
it wasn't one of the Gone in 60 Seconds. It just wasn't one of those that were on. You know what
And
I
I do
mean?
I I do want to say as we look at Michael Bay, 30 years in the future, if my math is correct, unfortunately, um, you know, you're like, Michael Bay did this. Gotcha.
Gotcha.
Got it. Got it. That
Yeah.
makes sense. So it does have the Michael Bay flair, but Barry Gordy on the other side, a little Barry Gordy flair. So what can you say? Actually, when it popped up a Barry Gordy film, I was like, oh yeah, I know what I'm in for.
Yeah.
I got you. I remember.
Lock in. I was sitting, after watching the second movie I watched, and I was like, this is really difficult, man. Like hard cuts,
Hashtag hard cuts. With more
hashtag
to
hard
come, I do
cuts.
believe.
Oh, it's
I
only gonna
think
get
they're going to
harder.
be. Yeah, I think some
Ooh.
hashtag hard cuts are coming.
We
So
may be having
yeah,
some like legit discussions in the
yeah.
future for some of these movies. I foresee it with my mind's eye. But yeah, it's like talk about like what do you want? Chocolate or a Ferrari? What do you want? You know, it's like the most opposite things, you know? What do you want? You know? It's like you want a diamond ring or healthcare. It's like don't make me choose. Dog. Like, you crazy.
That's funny.
These two movies are just so polar opposite. That's the beauty of random select. It's just hard to make me choose between these two, but we got to do it. So,
Absolutely.
with that being said, you ready to get into these fights and start talking about these combatants, bruh?
I am, my friend. I am. I am excited, and let's roll.
Let's rock and roll right into the first fighter of the evening, and it's The Rock, made in 1996. Oh my goodness, some of you guys weren't even born back then. By the intrepid Michael Bay, an FBI chemical weapons expert and former SIS soldier turned political prisoner, must break into Alcatraz prison when a rogue military group led by a renegade general takes it over and threatens nerve gas attack on San Francisco. Wash, you said you remember this film quite fondly. Tell me
Yes.
your thoughts on The Rock, man, after
So,
watching it again.
well, when it popped up, I was like, "Oh crap, The Rock!" And so it goes back to a simpler time, I guess, when terrorism was, this thing that rarely happened
Warm
and
and
wasn't a
cuddly,
big
right?
deal, right? And people thought Alcatraz was like the worst that it could get, and it's like, oh, all right, they do tours there now. Okay, that's interesting. So,
Still do,
uh,
I think.
still do. So I will say it goes back to a different time. If you made this movie today and called it The Rock, I don't think anyone would bat an eye. You're like, all right, you made a rock movie, cool. But back in 1996, Alcatraz still had a
Thing
connotation
about it.
to it,
Yeah.
correct? So I do want to like put that in because that was one of the things that you're like Alcatraz. Oh, dude, nerve gas. Whoa, what's going on? They're gonna nuke San Francisco. What is this movie? And now we kind of look at that type of thing because it's been seen so many different iterations of it with kind of a nod. That said, um, second time or first time in like 2 decades of watching The Rock. Look, here's what I'm going to say about this, and I'm going to come at it from like the
Mhm.
action part first, because that's what we're here to do. Action. I'm not sure a Michael Bay movie with a clip of a sound and like people running up the stairs and setting up camera equipment counts as like heavy action as I was going back through it because my brain remembers heavy action. But in
Mhm.
reality, the first hour of this movie is kind of yucks, man. You're laughing it
So,
up. You're,
yes.
you're like Nicolas Cage, ha ha ha, getting married, the anxiety of it all, and you're kind of like yucking it up. I laughed more than a few times. It is a interesting action comedy film. So that is something I'll say about it, but it did not necessarily hit the memory, and that's not what we're here to do today. But I did have to separate those two in order to watch the film and start to really analyze what it was I was seeing. Next
Mhm.
thing I want to point out of all the films that we've watched, this random select, this has the biggest budget.
Well, yeah,
$75
easy.
million dollars, easy.
Easy.
You know what I mean?
Easily, yeah.
And you see it. It's used. It's a beautifully shot movie, Michael Bay. Like I'm not gonna say that your pans and your quick cuts they're beautiful. I just don't know if they fall into the action category. I remember myself actually thinking about a bit about Bimini Code with both these films
Mm,
because they had a different connotation of action than let's say Terminator, right?
right.
So, initial thoughts, yeah.
Yeah, man. Very good. I want to pick up on a lot of what you put down. Initial thoughts for The Rock. It's funny when you said this is definitely a Michael Bay movie. and knowing Michael Bay's extensive and, let's just call it what it is, legendary, resume, filmography, this is probably the most Michael Bay I've ever seen. Michael Bay. You know what I mean? Like, this feels like unhinged in its Michael Bayness. Like, you know what I mean? Like, when I was watching this film, and like you said, like the first third of the movie, it's just build up and yucks. You know what I mean? It's letting Nicolas Cage kind of cage it up. You know what I mean? And I'm, bear,
Before he was Cage, right?
he
He
was
was
kind of
still
cage. That
he was
he wasn't
acting
action cage.
Cage.
He
Yeah,
was
yeah,
acting
yeah,
cage. He
yeah,
wasn't
yeah,
action
yeah,
cage.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
because this is before Con Air, and what I'm saying, where he really became Face Off. Don't even get me started on Face Off, right? So this is before, this is like him dipping his toes into action, and he sells it, right? He sells it as the everyman, almost like a blueprint for like a what's that show I just watched with the FBI with John Krasinski as the FBI
Oh,
analyst.
Tom Ryan.
Ryan, Jake Ryan, something, not Jake Ryan, but
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
yeah. Tom Ryan. Isn't it Tom Ryan?
I think it's something Ryan, Jake Ryan, John Ryan, something like that.
All right,
I
cool.
think it may be Tom Ryan. I can't think of it on the top of my head. But it's the everyman kind of hero story as told by Michael Bay, and you kind of are going with it, and they're assembling the crew, as it were, and everybody's in this movie, dude. I kind of picked up on that. So of course, Sean Connery, Nicolas Cage, Ed Harris, but you also have like Tony Todd is in this movie, dude.
Hmm.
Um, Balkeem Woodbine is in this movie, bro. The book detective from that one Seinfeld episode is like part of the chiefs of staff.
Yeah,
Bookman.
man. Yeah,
Bookman's in this movie.
Bookman. Oh, that's his name, Bookman. That's funny.
Freaking Bookman, bro. So you know it is an action movie. Yeah, it's an action movie, but a lot of the action doesn't start until John Connery's character is introduced. We get that killer intro with them stealing the neurotoxin, and it kind of show you how bad it is because the dude literally liquefies on screen, which I really liked as a horror guy. That kind of tickled my whistle. I appreciate that. Yeah.
And that's one
So
of the iconic scenes that you remember about it, along with the driving scene when the little San Francisco bus gets
I want
ran
to talk
over.
about
So
that.
yeah, those are two iconic scenes that just when you said The Rock and it's like action. Oh yeah, that's the one with the new. Yeah, I remember that, and they are very cool scenes. And you know, after I watched that neurotoxin scene again, to your point, I was like, damn, I've never seen that really done again in that type of manner. So creative scene.
Yeah, and I was just gonna say, like, both of these movies don't really exist in real reality. You know what I mean? They don't. They're Both of these movies exist in like cartoon universes that are
What do you mean?
extremely grounded. You know what I'm saying? Like, because that San Francisco scene is something out of like Tom and Jerry. You know what I mean? There's the little old lady going through like an extremely busy street. They have to swerve the damn like trolley to move out the way, and I hate this thing that Bay does, where he will have a crazy action scene, then stop everything for someone to say a one-liner and click back into the action scene. So it's, what I'm saying, he does it like 80 times in this movie, where it's like, you know, thing barreling down. That's a bad mother effort. Right back into the action. You know what I'm saying? Or that guy's going way too fast. Like, just let the action scene breathe, Bay. I know you think that was clever, but just chill on that. You know what I mean? It drives me crazy.
I found the editing to be a problem for me, kind of like
Yeah.
you had with the Mini Code. I could not see past the cuts because they were so just bam,
Sharp. Yeah,
bam,
sharp.
and
Yeah.
it's like, dude, what do you? I get it. Stop punching me in the face, bro. I get it. I get it.
Yeah, it's good to see these stars kind of in their primes and out of their prime. Seeing young Cage is amazing because it's just he's caging it up and he can't help himself. It's almost like a involuntary action the way his acting style is because he's so over the top, but he sells it. It's so weird. Like, you know, I can't even mimic it. It's His acting style is so visceral.
That's
You know
why
what I
he's
mean?
Cage. He's a national treasure. It's like who can mimic Cage?
Who
That's
can who
like
can Who's out
Do
caging
Carson.
Cage,
You
bro?
know what I mean? Like I can't do Carson. It's Carson. So
You're crazy, man. Like Sean Connery in one of his last action roles, connoring it up. And one thing I like about this film is that a lot of people say it's really his Logan for this is a secret James Bond movie.
yeah,
It's kind of like the the murmurs
yeah.
about it. And like this was his Logan, like his send off for being a secret agent. I like that kind of internal lore. You know what I mean?
And that was the lore when the movie came out, and I still dig it. I still stand behind it, and I can't say I love seeing Sean Connery back on screen. It's
Yes.
been so long since I watched a Sean Connery film where he's up, moving around, doing his Connery thing, and it's not just kind of like still shot. A couple of his later films don't come to mind because they're not super memorable, but it was nice to just see him fill out that spy role, that know-it-all role again, because he does it so well. I know you said you weren't a huge Bond Connery guy. I can appreciate that, but I do think that the Irish Connery brings along a certain type of
Swag.
gravitas,
Yeah, it has swag.
swag,
Yeah.
swag to the role. So it was great to see
Yeah.
him, and I certainly don't want to leave since we mentioned the two. Ed Harris,
I was just gonna
been
mention.
doing it forever, right? Forever. Dude needs a lifetime achievement award at this stage.
I was just gonna mention the villain, if you want to call him that, because Ed Harris's character, though a little ambitious, I don't think was absolutely incorrect in his want for justice. Just maybe a little too ambitious, you know what I'm saying? And I like about this character, spoilers for a 30, 40-year-old movie, that he just bails out. He's just like, you know what? Nope, we bluffed. They called it. Yeah, no, I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
Are you crazy? I'm not gonna nuke a city, bro. Are you crazy? I love that about him. It's like he's not a villain, dude. He's just like he's a desperate man, and I can understand a desperate man. He wants what he wants, and he goes to extreme measures, and I like that. Not there's stakes, and there's crazy stakes, right? But I like that the stakes are never too low or too high. They're always kind of like right there where you feel comfortable with Ed Harris. One of my favorite scenes in the movie is when freaking Hudson from Aliens is in the kill box with his team, and Ed tries everything he can to talk him down. Like, look, man, we have you, we have the high ground, and we have
And
you,
we
we
have
have
a
you in
high
our sights.
ground. Don't
We
do
have the
it.
high grounds. Don't do it. The dude said, "Don't underestimate my power," and they all got wiped out. You know what I'm saying? That's a crazy scene because Ed is like, "I don't, man, please, will you not?" He's like, "No, you talking about? I'm a soldier too. We could do it. We could do it, guys." And the guys are like, "No, we can't do it, bro. We'll follow your lead, but we can't do it." And he's like, "We could
What
do it." And it's such a crazy scene, bro.
what caused it? Did something fall or did someone pull the trigger? I
I
don't
th-
remember.
I think someone jumped the gun. I
Someone
think what
jumped the gun.
I think one of Hudson's boys in the kill box jumped the gun, and then it just all it takes is one shot, and then it's all like Donkey Kong, and it's so dramatic. Hudson is like it's all shot up and jacked up. He pulls out one single gun and he starts screaming with his one little pew pew gun. Dog. Like chill out, man. Like Michael Bay is so dramatic, and you can see like Ed Harris's character's like, man, I didn't want that to happen. I super didn't want, more soldiers are dead. That's not what I'm trying to do here. Um, I just there's certain parts like when they're locking everybody up, there's like the stereotypical black comedians in the jail cell. Man, this is some bullshit. This is like it's just like come on, you got we got Comedy
90s.
Central, 90s hilarity, man. You got Comedy Central flowing around here. But yeah, overall, this is a very enjoyable film. The action is top notch. I think every action scene punches, especially when we get to The Rock. The scene where Sean Connery's going through the fire circles and he's doing these tactical rolls through like
Yeah.
fire explosion. That's super dope. You know what I'm saying? The freaking Donkey Kong Country mine scene where they're in the mine cart. You know what I mean? They're flying through like spiders' webs, and
I didn't
it,
necessarily think Donkey Kong Country. I
that's
thought
where.
Indiana Jones. That's where my head went. But
Hey,
okay, you say Donkey Kong. I'm like, all right, that makes sense. That's a good pull. I like that.
yeah, that's well, we're Donkey Kong bit off Indiana Jones, so we're both super right there. But yeah, those are my overall thoughts. I loved every minute of it. I love Cage. It makes me want to watch more Bay movies. It's too much Bay. You know what I mean? It's a lot of Bay.
And it's not a short film either. I think this
Nah, it's
thing
like 2
came
hours.
clicking in like 210, and
Yeah.
in all actuality, I'm not sure it needed all 210 of that. I think a lot of that was Bay like, yeah, let's add on this shot, and that's how we kind of extend out. So I do think had it been 145, it would have been a tad bit of a tighter film. But overall, it's hard to criticize The Rock for anything other than being a 90s action movie. Is it, is it, and is it hard action? No, I'm not going to
No,
call it hard
no,
action. Is it Beverly Hills Cop? No, it's something
no.
more than Beverly Hills
It's kind of
Cop,
middle.
too. Right? There's a middle ground there where you're yucking it up, but yet there's still some tents. There's a couple of explosions, some decent fights, and of course, you get the dramatic scene at the end. Go green! Is Nicolas Cage is like, oh god,
The
go
poster,
green,
right?
go
The trailer, you know.
green.
The
The
F-16s fly off, man, you know.
the Independence Day, and everybody's clapping. And it's like, yeah, they didn't blow up Alcatraz, and it's like you said, this lives in a just
Cartoon universe, man.
cartoon universe. None of this would have went down this way, bro. But
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. It's beautiful. And you don't realize it until you like really just start staring at things. Like you said, Elton John and Tony Todd is like, nah, you know that song Rocket Man? You're the Rocket Man. He shoots the rocket and it literally like true lies him out of the window with the rocket, bro. It's so it's so ridiculous, man.
Yeah.
But it's so good because it's action. That's what you want. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, when we look for action, and I guess we probably did this in the first one, but it's like, what are you looking for? I'm looking for something I can have a beer with and enjoy myself for 2 hours and mind my business and then be done with it. So I think that this does check all of those boxes, and I wasn't mad at it. I don't think I necessarily need to watch it again anytime soon.
Hmm.
I think probably another decade or two can go by just because
Wow. Yeah.
um, the the action of which there is doesn't it isn't off the page where it's like, God, I need to see that again. Not you mentioned that killbox scene. That is kind of an intense scene, so that is worthy a little bit, but overall, I think that, I'm probably good on it, but I've seen it 500 times. If you're four, five, six times into this thing, yeah, you're still gonna get some enjoyment out of it. Pardon me, folks.
No, it's like if I want to watch a Nicolas Cage, Michael Bay action film that just scratches that itch in my brain, I'm going to watch Gone in 60 Seconds. You know what I mean?
Ooh, yeah.
Which is probably my one of my favorite Cage movies outside of Lord of War. You know
Did
what I
Michael
mean?
Bay do Gone in 60 Seconds?
I think so. Did
Huh,
he?
I
I
don't know.
gotta look into that. But yeah, that's where my brain goes when it comes to scratching that itch. Gone in 60 Seconds, directed by Dominic Sena. No, not a Bay, not a Bay. Felt like a Bay.
Could
Walked
have
and
been.
talked. Probably produced by Michael Bay. It really feels like a Michael Bay film. Please correct us in the chat. But yeah.
It's like when you see J.J. Abrams, executive producer, you're like, I knew there was
Oh,
something familiar
might
about
as well directed the damn thing.
this.
Like Spielberg and Poltergeist, right? It's just like
Like,
this is too Spielbergy to not be a Spielberg film, right?
uh,
That's kind of that. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on The Rock. Any final thoughts before we move on to the next
not
combatant?
at this time, sir. I think I will rest my case on this one
You
for
got it.
now.
Speaking of opening a brand new case, let's open up a case of Kung Fu Mastery, dude. Tonight, we are talking about The Last Dragon, made in 1985. Glorious 85, directed by Michael Schultz. In New York City, a young man searches for a master to obtain the final level of martial arts mastery, known as the Glow. You know you're gonna get that glow. Wash. What are your thoughts about The Last Dragon, bro? What are your initial feelings about this film, dude?
As I said, it wasn't what I was expecting, but I do remember sitting down watching this with the uncles. As a martial arts guy, this was not one that was in my rotation. I will say that this poster is not as good as the other poster.
Mm-mm.
The other poster is much better than this poster. So, that being said, I went into it like, yeah, I don't really remember this. Let's have a good time. Barry Gordy. So let's see 1985 vibes. And you know what I got right off the back? Some 1985 vibes, right? There was some stereo stereotyping, casting type
Oh
of
yeah,
acting going, like
yeah.
right from the get-go, and you're like, parody type of films, kind of what we're going for. Let's do it. And so um we get involved, and as a martial arts guy, I'm hoping to see martial arts. Unfortunately, this falls a little light on the
There's
martial
one,
arts.
there's one martial artist in this entire film, and it's a 9-year-old kid.
Oh, yeah,
The-
all right.
yeah, I'll talk about it in my second.
it,
Yeah,
it,
one
took
martial
it took
artist.
me a second. All right,
Yeah.
so I was a little disappointed in that, but there are some, as far as a film goes. As I watched it, I was not upset or disappointed I was watching it. Again, looking at it in context of an action film, this film is a music action film,
Mhm.
which I don't know if we have many of, question mark. I don't know how many musical action films there are, but much like Baminico, which still makes an appearance, even though it I won't ruin it. Go watch the episode, folks.
Yes.
Even though you have to look at action in a different light, and in this case, choreography, uh, casting, crew, dancing, all a big part of the action. Martial arts, a little less so. Um, the Canadian singer lady, big fan. She was great.
Yeah, she's awesome. She kills it. The Last Dragon, man. This it's funny. The last poster was giving me like Star Wars, and this one is giving me like The Wiz. I mentioned it earlier. Like
Ooh,
he's on down the road type of kind of vibe
yeah.
to it, and that's what you're going to expect. Going into Barry Gordy's The Last Dragon. If you look at this poster, it doesn't have the name of the stars. It doesn't have the directors. It has the soundtrack. Kind of tells you where the priorities are. Stevie Wonder, Smokey Robinson, The Temptations, the Barge literally has a music video just in this movie, baked in. You know what I mean? Whole ass video, whole
I
song.
was like, what's happened?
No, in the beat of the rhythm of the night,
Been
dancing
singing it
till the
every
morning
yeah, I've been
light.
singing it every day. Yeah.
Yeah, this movie goaded, man. I'm telling you, this was on, bro. Bruce Leroy, you know what I mean? Show Nuff. Like these are
Sure
legendary
enough.
characters. I remember I'm telling you, this unraveled in my brain like a memory. Because I'm like, why do I know all the lyrics to these songs? Even the stupid made up songs for the movie, like Eddie Arcadian's horrible music, you know what I mean? Uh
Oh
just
yeah, yeah, yeah,
the
yeah,
80
yeah.
it's so musical, this movie, and I love it because it mixes the culture of African American and Asian American kind of like influences, and that's been going on for decades. People don't realize like these are the type of movies that like shaped the Wu-Tang Clan.
Mhm.
These are the type of movies that shaped like Asian hip hop dance culture. Like we've always shared influences with each other. And this movie is like really like a singing example of like the origins of that. And it doesn't feel too out of place, even for like 80s like New York. And like movies like this always make me like so happy I was able to see the cartoon version of New York that it was back in the 80s, like TMNT New York. I talk about it all the time, where it's like grungy and gross, but also like lived in and realistic, Um, and seeing Bruce Leroy kind of being trained by his master and going on his own hero's journey. It's just something that I just loved. I love everything about this movie.
and I think hitting on the hero's journey is really like where the heart of this movie lies. And because you can easily get through this movie and be like, what the F did I just watch? But at the same time, if you look at it as you say, a young man going to search for the glow and learning a tad bit about himself and wondering, yeah, I like how his family just appeared, right? It's
Yeah,
like, y'all haven't wondered where he's been for I
he
don't
can,
know
he
however
can take care of
long.
himself.
It's like
He's a
he
kung fu
comes,
master.
yeah, bro. He
He comes
puts
through
on
the
his
window like
pizza thing and
Spider-Man. He comes through the window like Spider-Man. And they're just like, all right, it's fine. We're so over this, but
like,
what are you gonna
no one
it's
says
bubble.
anything.
He's not into gangs, he's not doing drugs. He's all
Yeah,
right, man.
it's all
He's
right.
just weird.
1980s New York. So
19
uh,
this dude came, I just realized that he just came through the window of the kitchen like spider, like
bro,
literally just climbed in like a vigilante. And the family just eating. Hey
no one
Leroy, what's
said a
going on?
word.
Nobody
Everybody's
said a
just like,
word.
yo,
I'm so over this dude. The only person who was realistic was his brother. It's like, man, y'all need to check him, man, because this is getting out of hand. They like leave
he
the boy alone. You know?
he is not walking around with the rest of us. And so from that aspect, especially from the martial artist point of view, it's you're like, yeah, that is kind of what it's like when you're out there searching for, the Ryus of the world, searching for the meaning of kung fu, which is what Bruce Leroy's trying to do. He has some challenges put in front of him, but essentially it comes down to a young man really trying to a master who told the young man to go out and touch grass,
Pretty
right?
much. Yeah.
Go touch some grass, bro. And so he went and touched the grass and he found out, yeah, I may like grass. Grass seems okay. And sure enough,
So
sure enough,
I'm gonna get
never
to show
mind.
it up in a second, but I'm gonna talk
All right,
about like
go ahead.
I like that he is at the end of his training and doesn't understand that he's over. You know what I mean? Like there has to be something else. I don't feel like a master, so I'm not a master. So I need a new master because my old master just said there's nothing else I can teach you. Which to a normal person would say, okay, I passed the test. You are now an architect. But no, he desires that next step. He needs he needs validation. It sounds like you know what I mean. So he goes out into the world to find the secret master, some dumb goy, right? And he has to kind of. It's almost like a fairy tale. It's like a kung fu fairy tale where he has to find the master and go into the bog, and he's stopped. Then he has to learn something to go back into the situation. And you know what I mean? It's very
Yeah,
fairy tale-ish. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, I'll give you that 100%. When we talk about like action film, like I like the idea behind this film, and I don't know how this is going to come across. When I got done watching it, I was like, I think this could use a remake. Like
Oh my
I
god,
think this
yeah.
this this could use like a modern type
I
of
would
remake, and I think it could be awesome. They'd be freaking awesome, right? But this, for what it is as an action film, and I'd be remiss if I don't mention the GOAT. So we're here discussing action films, and Last Dragon is leaning on an action film. So it's an
well, yeah.
action film of an action film. And so as I'm going through and I'm looking at what it is, I'm asking myself, I love it, it's fine, but does it lack in a little bit of lack of creativity, because we do have to rely on the go to Bruce Lee. And let's just call a spade a spade. Had a Bruce Lee movie showed up in one of these random eights, I would be fighting the high hell that it's going to
I
be
know you
top
would.
number 10. Like I
I know
did 10. That's it.
as you should.
10. 10. That's it.
As you
You know what
should.
I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't want to take anything away from that, but I do wonder how a movie can stand on its own legs when it is so heavily influenced by its
I'll
predecessor.
say this about that whole can of worms, right? So this movie it leans on the spirit of Bruce Lee, the tutelage of Bruce Lee, not even as a person, but as his films. He was a fan of the films more than he was the person, you know. But then he went around quoting Bruce Lee, like a Jedi, you know what I mean? He was living the life, you know. So, and I'm okay with him wearing that as an influence because that's how all this starts, right? A kid, a kid, a minority reads a comic book. He wants to be a comic book writer, right? Minority goes to the big 42nd Street, sees Enter the Dragon on the big screen. Wow, Dad, can I get kung fu lessons? That's how it starts. You know what I mean? And depending on how dorky you are, the more you'll embrace that lifestyle to the point where you are walking around wearing a gi like Bruce Leroy in modern time. You know what I'm saying?
And as we all know, I want to be a Jedi, so I'm not taking that away. And what I think I mean, because I might have lost in translation a bit, is like the shots of the Bruce Lee films, like the fight between him and Show Enough, literally being a choreographed fight between like Bruce Lee and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And
Pretty
it's
much.
like
Yeah.
that's where I'm talking about, man, I kind of wish you would have went your own way this instead of literally doing that one for one shot thing. I think we had this conversation about, is it Beyond the Call of Duty that just had the random kickboxer fight and like there were like
That
three
was
other.
CIA Alexa that just
Oh yeah, yeah,
stole wholesale that fight
just
scene from
stole
Kickboxer.
wholesale movies, right?
Yeah.
And so this is based upon The Last Dragon, so they wear it on its sleeve, but those action scenes for the sake of our conversation, it's kind of like looking at your second string quarterback and going, yeah, he's pretty good. Yeah, did you know he played under Tom Brady for 6 years? Oh,
You know,
he's
you know
all
what it
right.
is? It's a Barry Gordy film.
Yeah.
And I don't honestly think the fight choreography was a high
No,
priority.
no.
It was getting El DeBarge to let them use that music. It was getting all these soulful moments and this great soundtrack and making sure everybody looked fabulous and making sure everybody looked good. You know what I mean? Show Nuff and his minions. You know what I'm saying? So, like you said, if they were to remake this, too bad music sucks now, but they would have to like maybe even still date it with a better soundtrack. We can't do it modern because music is not good enough to hold it to do this
Damn,
right. Sadly,
damn.
oh, holler at me. Maybe I'm just old, but that's how I feel. They can't do it. We're gonna put in this sexy red as a track on the Last Dragon. No, get out of my face. It's not happening. But with its influences, with the fight scenes, with Show Nuff, am I the prettiest? Um, it's perfect for what it needs to do. Um, if it leaned too much into now, this was made by like the Shaw brothers, and the fighting was like absolutely immaculate. It may take away from some of the charm from it. You know what I mean? It's meant to be silly. This is a cartoon universe where a guy has glowing hands. You know what I'm saying? It's meant to be kind of goofy.
Well, I mean, I think he actually had. I think Show Enough actually had something in him. You know what I mean? You don't get to become the Shaolin of Harlem just by
No, he had
being the
powers.
Shaolin Harlem. You gotta have some powers.
He had
So the
powers,
purple
though.
hands was something. They
Yeah,
just don't. It was the juju. It was the juju that it
yeah.
got put on him.
He was powering up like Goku, dog.
I
He had
freaking
to.
love that scene.
Yeah, he had
It's
to
like,
cheat, dog. I like when he started losing. It started flickering, like he started losing power. Like he started like his confidence was dropping, so they started flickering. He's like, "Oh snap! Who's the master? I am." So, and I think it's a good tale for those like keep searching for what you're searching for. You know what I mean? I
yeah.
love, you know. And apparently, the young man who played Bruce Leroy went on to become like a really good martial arts practitioner. Apparently, like he went on to become like a 5-time black belt or something wild
Oh
like
damn.
that. And that was in ever else in of note. I was just thinking like, who was in this movie that really went on to do anything? Um, and I mentioned him earlier. The kid Ernie Reyes Jr. was in a lot of stuff, and he was a baby in this. He must have been like 6 or 7, but he went on to do a lot of like choreography for TMNT. He did Surf Ninjas,
Maximum Overdrive.
Maximum Overdrive, I believe. Ernie
Yeah.
Reyes, you know, Ernie Reyes Jr. is the GOAT, man. He was in the Rundown with Dwayne The Rock Johnson and Sean William Scott, bro.
Oh,
He was one of them, Little guy, he's too real.
yeah, I remembered having a crush on Vanity, and so I was like, "What happened to her?" And she died in 1980, like 1994 or something, like
Yeah, she
51. I
passed
was
away.
like, That's a damn shame." She was
Damn
fantastic in
shame.
this movie, like beautiful. So anyway, I was a big fan of like the whole like dancing, like her whole the point, the winning of the goal, the prize, you know what I mean? Like she liked him, He liked her. He had no idea how to deal with it. She was way out of his league. And
A
as you're
thousand
watching,
percent out of it.
you're like, yeah, bro, you got
Ooh.
no chance, man. And
Yeah,
then his
man.
little brother's like, no, I'm all up in this. And so the
Man, you
little
wouldn't even know
brother's
what
a
to
big
do with
fan.
that, bro.
Yeah,
You tripping, dog.
like, I thought that for as silly as a film is, those two, the supporting cast, did manage to keep it grounded in such a way that kept it fun and interesting and light and you know, kept you watching. Because on its face, it could look as like it's a Barry Gordy musical action comedy. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like what's Sinners? What's Sinners? An action musical. It's a horror musical. That's what
Horror
they called it.
musical. Yeah.
Horror musical. So it's like action musical. Cool. I'm down with it. And soundtracks is fire.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's one of those. You know, legendary soundtrack. Um, you know, Barry Gordy at the helm. I had who didn't have a crush on Vanity back then, man? She was too cool for school, you know what I mean? Who didn't want to be who wasn't kicking stuff trying to be Bruce Leroy, trying to activate the glow in the mirror, dude. You know what I'm saying? We're all there. Show enough being I was literally on Amazon looking up shown up glasses to try to get for this episode because I love those sick glasses with the visors in them, dude. Couldn't find them. I couldn't find them in time, but
I'm
maybe
kind of surprised.
I wanted some show nuffs for tonight, bro, but I couldn't make it happen. Uh I just want to talk about the villain showing up for a second. I could I could do
I've
it.
been yelling it for days. Show
Shut
enough.
up. You know, am I the baddest mofo low down around this town?
Show enough.
Yeah. Showed up as Kiss My Converse. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's so many quotables in this movie, dude. You know what I'm saying? He said, I'm gonna you choose the designated time and the designated place, and I'm gonna designate his ass. Uh,
Yeah.
showed
Yeah,
up.
man.
He get hype and he like do his hair out, Doug. You know what I'm saying? Perfect villain, not irredeemable. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if it's just he just wanted his fade, bro. At the end of the day, he was just like fade o'clock. Guess what time it is? It's fade o'clock. You need to run this fade, man, for the soul of Harlem. You're not gonna give me my fade. I'm just gonna make your life a living hell. I'm just gonna bother you. You know, show up to your pop shop, cause trouble. You know what I'm saying?
So at the end of the movie, I started getting throwbacks to our movie that I have playing here in the background called Only the Strong.
No, no, no
And
way. No, no,
yeah.
no way.
And
No, no, no.
so when I look at this as an action film, because that was another martial arts action movie, but it went batshit crazy, pardon my French,
It
at the
did.
end. It just lost its mind. I kind of wish Last Dragon and Show Enough had have went to that level,
Somebody had
but
to
they
die,
kept,
dog.
yeah, dude.
Somebody had to die.
But they kept Show Enough, you know, human, which is fine. Like, I'm not going to argue. But as I compared it to Only the Strong, I think Only the Strong had a better finish than what this had, simply because you had the mouth dropping appeal of, damn, uh, okay, I
No,
wasn't expecting any of this.
here,
This,
yeah.
much like with The Rock, you left feeling, yeah, in fact. Mike, are these the only two movies that we left out of the eight feeling good on? Are the rest of the movies, did they all just end?
They all just end. I didn't like any of the endings for any of them. You go back and watch the tape. All the endings pissed me off
Just
so
what?
far. But even this ending, The Rock let me feeling good. You know what I mean? But this ending, this movie ends like Return of the Jedi, bro. You know, this movie ends just like Return of the Jedi. You know, it's like they defeat the evil men. Next thing you know, you hard cut back to Seventh Heaven, and we're all having a party, and we're all dressed in white, and you know, da 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 da, jump jump, da 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 da, jump jump. And it's like it ends with this weird soft music, and like in like Vanity and Bruce Leroy are like making out. It's just such a weird ending for this
And she's
movie.
like, well, what are you going to do now? And it's like, I mean,
Be with you, I guess. You're my sugar
we're
mama from here
here.
on out. I'm broke, dog. I'm broke,
Right?
dog.
You're a celebrity, right?
You
Like,
gotta be. You're the Beyonce of the times, dude. Like you're gonna fix my mom's shop, right? You're gonna fix my dad's. You're gonna fix, deliver your visa to Papa Frank's Pizza. You're gonna fix
that's
that up,
funny.
right?
I also would be remiss if I did not mention that being on MTV back in the day was a thing, bro.
Big thing,
Like
the biggest
the
thing.
the fact that this entire movie is
Movies.
based off
I
an
love that.
evil movie, Superman 3 movie producer, and
Eddie
and his
Arcadian, dog.
right, and his iconic, replacement star, just to get his music video made. He's kidnapping people, having them sit, no, just to get my video made. Now, someone who's worked in the music industry, it's like, yeah, just listen to my tape, bro. Just listen to my tape.
Listen
I
to my
got you.
tape.
Listen to my tape. Here, get in the car. No, I'm not getting in your car. Why aren't you getting in the car, bro? Because you ain't gonna let me out. And I gotta listen to your tape. So I thought they just blew. It just took me back to how big of a thing MTV was, and like getting your video made and your music, like it was serious. You look at it
It's
now and you're like, that's dumb. And it's like,
that
no, that was no, people
no
killed over that.
people died over that. You know what I'm saying? The links that Eddie Arcadian went to get this damn tape on VH1 is out of control, dog. It reminds me of like Jacob versus the angel in the Bible. Like, I'm gonna get my blessing. I'm not leaving till I get my blessing. I'm gonna wrestle an actual deific figure until you give me a blessing. And this man went. I love in the part of the movie where it stops being about the video. You know what I'm saying? He kind of moved past that. Now he just wants the guy dead. You know what I'm saying? Because his girl left him. He doesn't try kidnapping this poor woman twice. Why? Why was no like charges
No
pressed
cops.
against this dude?
Like, again, like no cops anywhere,
No cops.
no
That's okay.
responsibility
80 and
anywhere.
90s movies, no responsibility, no police involvement. We don't mess with cops, apparently.
No.
Because don't you just file a police report? This man literally threw me in the back of his car and kidnapped me. This movie would have been over. Eddie Arcadian would have been on MTV, on MTV News with Kurt Loder, dog. He would have been out of effect. Eddie Arcadian charged with 2 counts of murder, 2 counts of attempted murder, and freaking kidnapping, dude. It would have been over.
Kidnapping, yeah. Kidnapping of a child, nonetheless, right?
Of a child, right? Because he kidnapped his brother too. Why weren't the police called when they jacked up his shop? Everybody knows where Shonuff is, bro. He's not hiding.
You wouldn't think like a cop would have walked past. What happened to your shop?
What happened to your shop, man?
Like,
Nothing.
I was coming to get some pizza today. No,
do the right thing levels of like mind your business, right? They're driving around in the Shonuff mobile like it's the damn Ninja Turtles. They got the Shonuff mobile just going around, stopping at stoplights. Like, they're gonna get arrested, dog. These dudes are wearing bright red football cleats and jerseys, going around just bothering people. Where's the cops? This dude, Eddie Arcadian, literally hired the Sinister Six of 80s scumbags. You know what I'm saying? He hired the Sinister Six to fight Bruce Leroy. He had one dude who was just a dog. He's just a man dog. It didn't make any sense. He hired like somebody's cousin, was one of the final 7 that were gonna destroy Bruce Leroy. It made no sense. This movie is crazy, and I love Eddie Arcadian is one of my favorite villains because he just wants to just listen to my tape, bro. It's so fire. Once you hear it, you're gonna be begging me to put this on. It's my girl's in it, dog. Listen to my girl. She's singing, bro. She's gonna be a star, bro. You have no idea. What you mean you won't listen to the tape? What you mean? What? Okay, I'm gonna get the boys to bring you around. You're gonna listen to this tape.
All she had to do was listen to the damn tape. She could have said no. He probably would have went about his business.
No, she said no when he got hot. Remember? They kidnapped
but she wouldn't
her.
Listen to the tape. She wouldn't listen to the tape. She just wouldn't even listen.
She wouldn't even bother with it, right?
No.
William H. Macy was like, "You don't understand. This dude plays rough, man." William H. Macy, dog. A young William H. Macy.
How does he look 60 in 1985, bro?
One of them dudes, man.
I'm like, yeah, bro, you look like you're 60 already. Like, what is happening?
Yeah, it's like Morgan Freeman just come out the womb 48. You know what I'm saying, with a cigar and a belt of bourbon, dog. Come out the womb looking 89. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Eddie Arcadian is probably outside of Shonuff. He's one of my favorite villains because he's so unhinged, dude. And
I
they
think the entire yeah, I think the entire movie's a tad bit unhinged. The more that we're talking about it, it's just like an unhinged type of movie, which is kind of fun.
yeah, both these movies exist in a cartoon universe. You know what I'm saying? This is not real life. Then I could see the Ninja Turtles being right down the street of Last Dragon. You know what I'm saying? Like, happy to get to say Ninja Turtles were like uptown. This is happening in Harlem. You know what I'm saying? Like, it makes perfect sense.
After we saw show enough in the Harlem Street Gang, I was thinking about the Punisher and his one-shot flick that he did, and I went,
Yeah.
man, the Punisher would be great in here with show enough. Like, if we're gonna do it, let's do it. So
Yeah.
it's
The
that type of
Warriors are
movie.
right down the street. They're right in Coney Island, bro. The Warriors are right down there.
Warriors.
This is all happening at the same time. And of course, Superman just flies over. You know what I'm saying? It's all burnt out. This is all like Hollywood, New York. You know what I'm saying? Because it just doesn't feel. He glows, man, in real life. Like it wasn't a metaphor. Vanity and Eddie Arcadian saw that shit too. So it's like it wasn't like in their heads they're doing. Nah, he really glowed with the power of the glow, dog. Real life.
Yeah, man. Like he's the master. So
He's
what
apparently
can
he's
you
the master.
say? He's the master. It's the Michael Jackson looking self in that scene. Right when that he's like, who's the master? I am. I'm like, why'd you go with the Michael Jackson shot? What are we doing
Can
right
you
now?
feel
But
it? Can you feel it?
why
Can you
didn't we just get
feel it?
Michael Jackson?
He probably turned it down. He probably wanted to make his own, Doug.
Damn.
This is around that time. He probably was making like Captain EO or something at the same time. Doug. Mike, I want to do Star Wars. You got it, Mike. Whatever you want, baby.
15-year-old, not 15. I guess Mike's probably 25 at the
20s.
22 at this time. 22, yeah.
Yeah.
Beat it, give it or take. Right? He's like, yeah, no, I'm not doing that, Barry.
Did
Fuck
Barry
you,
Gordy and Quincy Jones have beef back then? You think they were like just really at heads because they were like the two dudes? Like maybe
You
that was what
know,
it was.
knowing what I know about Motown and music, just in general, probably,
Yeah.
man. Back in that music is a gnarly business, which is why
Mm.
the premise of this is so funny. Because I can absolutely see someone in the '80s who's rich enough who's just like, no, bro, we're gonna kidnap them. We're gonna make them listen to our tape tonight, and it's not
Tonight.
gonna matter.
Tonight.
It's not gonna matter. After they hear it, they're gonna be like,
They're gonna
oh,
want it.
we're
They're
gonna
gonna
do
want it.
it.
We're
Go
out of here.
gold, baby. We're
She's out of
platinum.
here. We're
Platinum. We're good.
Platinum.
Yeah.
All we need to do is have them listen to it. And what's funniest is he's a video game producer. This is like Activision being like, man, we got this girl over here. Yeah, don't you make video games, bro? No. You're not hearing me. Watch this video. Put it on VH1 tonight. Put it on MTV tonight. Prime time. You won't regret it. Listen to this song. The song is horrible, right? And Vanity has to sit there and just kind of be like, oh my God. If I don't nod my head to this, they're going to kill me. You know what I mean? It was that serious, right? There were dudes with guns in the same room. There's a piranha. The piranha tank was back there.
Oh
Man.
yeah, I forgot the part I take.
No, watch. It's say we're watching Masters of the Universe, right?
Oh,
And
shit.
I was and what is that?
Paper.
Paper?
Sweat.
Gotta love it. Like you got to think about the condition. I know we're going a bit long, but this is so insane to me. Like you got to think about the conditions, right? If I was like, man, I got this podcast, Master of the Universe is great, Master of the Universe is great. When you listen to an episode, no, I don't even feel like listening to it. You're gonna listen to an episode. I kidnap you and sit you down with a bunch of my buddies and make you watch it. Are you gonna be receptive to that experience?
I
Are you like, you
mean,
know what? It was dope. You're gonna get me up out of here, man. Like, what are you doing?
it has to be really dope. For me to
It
be
would have to be
like,
something
oh,
crazy.
it's all good. I guess that kidnapping thing was worth it. You know what? It was my fault. It was my fault for not coming
My
with
bad,
you.
bro.
That's
I should have
that's how
believed,
good
dog.
it would have to be.
My bad, dog. I should have believed, man. I didn't mean for it to get all like this.
No.
You tell your buddies to put the gun. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of The Lighthouse. When William Dafoe was like, you like my food, right? And he's like, nah, it's all right, man. It's kind of garbage, And then William Dafoe got so upset, he literally called down the curse of Poseidon because he was like, how dare you not like my delicious meals? And he's like, man, chill. It's fine. All right. You just killed me right now. You just cursed me with the ultimate curse. That's what it feels like with Eddie Arcadian in this damn video. It's like, you're going to watch it. I don't care what she says. You know what I'm saying? It's so insane. I love this movie, dude. Speaking of insane things, it's about that time. It's about that time. We have to make decisions. We have to make hashtag hard cuts. After our
we get paid for.
This is what we get on all the now the big bucks are coming in. Hard cash. We get nothing, guys, but your love and admiration. Thank you for watching the channel. Like, comment, and subscribe so that one day we might get paid to do this. Like, comment, and subscribe. So one day we might get actual cash. But then that would taint the channel, and I'll get a big head, and me and Wash, there'll be a whole VH1 remember the band type situation. Money will corrupt all of this so quickly.
He didn't want to listen to my tape, man. He didn't want to listen to my tape.
Wash didn't want to listen to my tape, man. I had a good tape. I was freestyling. And Wash said no, and I got mad, and it broke up the whole channel. No, I'm just kidding. That's how it would go, though. Wash, between The Rock and The Last Dragon, in this final round one of Random Select, you got to make a choice, man. Which one are you choosing and why?
I do have to make a choice, and the choice was not quite evident. It did take me a couple of days to get there, simply because looking at both of them through our lens of the Random Select action movies, I'm here for action. One is an action musical, the other leans action comedy. Neither are hard action. For a minute, I was actually counting the action scenes, and honestly, they're close. Like one has like 4, 5, 4, 5. So it's pretty close. So then, we start looking at other tales of the tape, script, production, how things go, feeling, overall enjoyment, how I like the movie. And ultimately, The Rock wins.
The Rock wins.
The Rock wins.
The Rock takes it, huh? The Rock takes it. Dude, just what about The Rock beat out Last Dragon? I know you're just talking about it, but what would you say really just at the end of the day?
It really comes down to it. If we are coming to a action movie like conversation, hey, it's a good action movie. The Rock is what your thought process of an action movie is going to be. The Last Dragon is something else with action elements in it. And I would say that there could be people that may want to fight me if I said, yeah, go watch The Last Dragon as an action movie. So ultimately, I'm not taking anything away from The Last Dragon. It is a very, very good movie. It's an enjoyable film. I enjoyed both these films, but in the lens of action, even though the action with the Rocks do come in quick cuts, they do come in uh, 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 clip of people like running upstairs and setting up computers. Yeah, you know exactly what I'm talking about. They used it 17 times, bro.
Yeah,
and you're like, yeah, it's like we're doing work. We're clip cutting work, and it's like, is that action?
That's not action. That's
like setting up your computer is not action. You know,
that's
like
me doing quick cuts to me to run to my fridge and grab a soda and come and sit back down. But you cut it to make it look like stuff is going on. You know,
you got a dramatic sound going in the background. It's like, yeah, it does the Michael Bay thing pretty well, and so ultimately, I lean towards The Rock because it is a more complete action film.
Got it. Oh, heart cuts. So this is one of those where it was nostalgia versus fact, right? It was member berries versus what's on the page. And like you said, these are action films, so they should be weighed as action choices, right? And when watching both of these movies, one thing that weighs heavily is their action. And I can say that for either film. There's action in The Rock. It's way more actiony, I would say, in essence, than The Last Dragon is. But The Last Dragon is in itself is a kung fu parody of Enter the Dragon, of Bruce Lee's stuff. He does stunt choreography. People fall. People are thrown through windows and through doors and stuff. I mean, it's not as sharp as you would like it, but I could say the same thing about the action in The Rock. We were just talking about people running upstairs with a green lens just to type on their computer real fast and put on their shades and I'm in, that's not action. It's the guise of action. You know what I'm saying?
The guise of action. Yes, I like that.
And one thing you said that kind of really swayed me was that, yeah, The Rock was good, but I cannot watch it for another 10 years and be okay. You're right. But I'm going to be singing In the Rhythm of the Night for the rest of the week. What did I enjoy more, right? what has action? What did I enjoy more? That's always been like my criteria. You know what I'm saying? And
Hmm.
I really enjoyed seeing Last Dragon again. It's one of those, like I said, I forgot I loved it so much. It was one of those compartmentalized brain palace things where I was like, oh man, I know this like the back of my hand. I know every word. And then I saw The Rock and I was like, this is good, but the beginning is a little slow on the action. You know what I'm saying? It's more comedy. It's caging it up. Um, and there are some great scenes in The Rock, but I gotta pick The Last Dragon, dude. It's kung fu, it's actiony, but at the same time, it's musical, it's different. There's action there. You know what I'm saying? Bruce Leroy, golden flame hands versus Michael Bay. Like, if this was any other Bay movie, I probably would have gave it a run, way more of a run for its money. You know what I'm saying? If this was damn Con Air, nah, you're not beating Con Air, dude. But this one just, The Rock didn't quite rock me the way that The Last Dragon was. So I gotta go Last Dragon on this one, dude. I gotta go Last Dragon.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
It
we
has
gotta split.
happened. We
Yeah, we gotta
gotta
split.
split. We
We gotta
gotta
split.
split. We have to go to the
We
numbers.
gotta go to the
The
numbers.
numbers.
So let's do it by movie, right? Let's do it by the movie, right? Your movie, The Rock. You want me to go first, or you want to go first? I can
I
go
can go
first.
first.
All right. From 0 to 10, Wash. What did you give The Rock and why? Not,
I,
not a deep why, but what number did you give it? I'm just,
you can't see that, but here's the facts. I gave The Rock a 6 out of 10.
wow.
A 6 out of 10. A 6 out of 10. Simply because of the reasons that we have just been speaking about in regards to action and our definitions of action and what is action and the memory of The Rock. The Rock, on its premise, is an action movie, but if you're looking for it specifically for action, you have to wait a bit to get that payoff, and thus for me it lowers the tier of action movie a bit. When you're if you're talking, Saving Private Ryan, 10 war film
Yeah.
but action, right? You know
Mhm.
what I mean? It's not that, and it's not even in that realm of that. So a 6. That said, is it mid-tier? Is it a 5? Is it
Mhm.
something that is unwatchable, or something that, yeah, skip that? No, The Rock is not a skip that. If you've never seen The Rock and you're listening to this or watching
Watch
this
The Rock.
podcast, go watch The Rock, man. You're
Yeah.
not going to be disappointed. But that's where I came into a 6 at.
Perfect. Just for the sake of numbers, I'll tell you what I scored The Rock, because I've never, I scored it a 7.5. I scored The Rock a
7.5.
7.5. It's
7.5.
because it would have got higher, but the action was kind of um heavy on the end. You know what I mean? And yeah. But what did I rate The Last Dragon? I rated The Last Dragon an 8.
An 8.
I rated it an 8.
An 8.
I don't know if you could see that, but I rated
I'm
it.
sure
I
it's.
have
Oh yeah, I can't see it. I can see it.
yeah.
I can see
I
it.
let me see if I can make it bigger. There you go.
An 8.
Yeah,
Woo,
I did not doctor this. This is straight from my
woo.
my little grouping. I give it an 8. It's
Why
high.
an 8?
It's my highest ranking of all of these so far. Um, like higher than Cage. Um, Only reason I gave it so high, an 8 is like almost like a B plus. It's almost a damn A. Um, because of really just the choreography at the time for what it was really good to me. The court, and I'm not a practitioner, but I've watched enough kung fu movies to know what's decent. You know what I'm saying? And we mentioned it earlier that it's just not, the action comes from different places. It comes from the kineticity of the music. It comes from the dancing. It comes from, this movie doesn't let you breathe, honestly. It's constantly clicking. The action scene opens him up with doing a kata. for Lord's sake. You know what I mean? It opens with doing a golden kata. You know what I mean? And then him into his training, into him fighting Shonuff, the final battle. It was all very anime to me. It was all very like a video game. So that kind of really spoke to me. So that's the number I kind of gave it.
An 8.
An
Okay.
eight.
Well, that
I don't
is
know what
what we have here.
I don't
That
know what
is
to
what
tell
we
you.
have. An 8 versus a 6. So the
Yeah,
last dragon.
dude, that's
I didn't see
crazy.
it coming.
I didn't see it coming either. And it's like I know I've seen this movie, but I didn't remember it. You know what I mean? Until it unlocked, and then I was like, man, I can't lie and say I wasn't running around the house trying to do kung fu kicks like Bruce Leroy. I can't lie and say that I wasn't trying to. My cousin was shown enough because he was taller than me at the time. You know what I mean? So it kind of like the action of it always spoke to me as a fan of martial arts and a fan of just that genre. You know what I mean?
And I guess I understand what you're saying, but I would say that the action relies on something that is already created, and that's the Last Dragon. So, had you come with original action scenes, sure, but much of the action is a one for one shot of Bruce Lee's The Last Dragon or Return of the Dragon, pardon me.
I wouldn't
So,
say it's a one for one. I may push
uh,
back a little bit on that because let's think of the
not the
major action.
movie, the action scenes, like the fighting scenes.
Yeah, let's talk about the fighting scenes.
Yeah.
So you have it's the first fight scene of the movie is the theater scene where sure enough dispatches everybody in the theater trying to goad Bruce Leroy into a fight. You know what I mean? That's very contrary to you know, the Enter the Dragon, you know what I mean? That scene where he pretty much does the Peter Parker Mary Jane thing when he saves Vanity from those guys trying to kidnap her in the car. Another action scene, you know what I mean? Show enough, you know, going to his dojo, another weird action scene. But it just keeps they
And,
keep happening,
and
you
those are
know.
all action scenes out of Bruce Lee movies. They're just done in different scenes. Like the movie scene is a scene out of the movie with him and the white dude, the other Asian dude after they go to work and they're working in like the backyard and like the yard, like the warehouse district. And there's 7, 8 guys running at them at a time, that type of thing. So I'm just saying for me and for my preferences, when I was looking at the action, it
Maybe I am
relied a
stretching it a bit,
tad bit it
but
relied a tad bit too much on um
it
known
relied
known known entities. It doesn't, for me, it didn't stand on its own 2 feet as an action film. And that's where I was coming from with that description of what I was saying about, it's not like him being Bruce Lee. I don't care about that. You can do that. You can even be a parody of a film, right? What I don't want is the kickboxer scene from our
I don't think
movie.
I
We
don't think
did
we
get it.
get that.
We did get it. We got it like 3 or 4 times. I challenge you to go back and watch some Bruce Lee films, and I'll actually send them to you. But yeah.
I don't know,
So
man.
I'm all
I
good
don't
with it.
think I don't think it's lifted one for one. Not like the Babini
Uh,
Code, where it was
you,
literally
yeah.
the same blocks. Like to be completely fair, the choreography in this movie is way worse than a Bruce Lee film. So there's no way they could have like one to one copied it because they even the actors didn't have the skill to do that. In the
Well, as
final,
you said, yeah, the
yeah,
Barry
they didn't
Gordy
have.
wasn't talking about like, yeah, let's get martial
Yeah,
artists on stage. He's like, can
no.
we hear the music? Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
are we cleaned up on the back end? Yeah, I get that, but with the final fight, but they're literally doing like it gets the point across, you know what I mean? But it's still fun. It's still kind of goofy, and it's still actiony. He kicks Bruce Leroy off a second story warehouse, dude. It's crazy. You know what I mean? It's just I don't know. Maybe it's nostalgia speaking a little bit louder than sense, but versus The Rock, and I guess when I watched these, it was like I watched these back to back. I watched The Rock first, then I watched Last Dragon. And I don't know, the action in The Rock seemed like there was some like, the kill box scene, the Donkey Kong scene, the San Diego scene. Even with that crazy budget, it was just still kind of like I could see the
A
the
six.
yeah, 6. But to make Last Dragon an 8. And what's funny is that as you were talking, I was like, maybe 8's a bit high, but I got to stick to my guns. That's what I felt like when I saw it. I wrote it down. Can't change it mid, can't change it mid discussion. That wouldn't be fair. That's what after I watched it up, I must have been so
Don't
high on
worry,
it.
it's got
Yeah,
another round coming up.
we'll see how
It's
it
got
again. That
another
number may
round
change,
coming up,
and these
so we'll
numbers and that number
see.
may change. Maybe I was just, maybe I was just like in the beat of the rhythm of the night, the morning line. It's just like maybe I was just a little too gassed. But I stand on that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It is what it. I stand on
Wow.
my 8 for this round, dude. So crazy. So this is our very first split. You know what I'm saying in this random select. So moving forward from that was the episode. That was The Last Dragon versus The Rock, dude. That's crazy how kind of things had it ironed out, man.
Yeah, man. Another exciting episode. What do we got up next?
Dude,
Semifinals?
semifinals, round 2. The very first round of round 2 will be let me look
Cage
at the
versus
uh,
something.
it's Cage versus it's actually going to be Cage versus Beyond the Call of no. It's Cage versus Only the Strong.
Ah,
It's round 2. Yeah, round 2 round 1. Bomb on my
looking
way.
forward to it. There
Bomb on
we
my way. No,
go.
no, no. You know what I'm saying? I I'm so scared for Cage. I'm so scared for like, Cage is such a darling to me, dog. I want a Cage
Anything's
poster.
possible here at Random Select.
Anything's possible, bro. With that, any final thoughts before we close this bad boy out?
That is it. I am good. Go watch these films. They're both enjoyable. You won't
They're
be disappointed.
they're both enjoyable. They're both excellent in their own way. And just going with an open mind. And you want to see some early Bay. You want to see some early Barry Gordy. This is, I think, early Barry Gordy, especially in this facility. I think you'll enjoy it. And it's a blast from the past on both ends. With that being said, this has been the Random Select end of round 1. We got there, man. We're in the second round here, which is amazing. I'm, of course, being your host, Mike G. He's, of course, been Master of the Universe Wash. We are the Master of the Universe podcast. And with that, I will say MOTN out. Until next time, everybody.